Good morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. This one will also be out on YouTube as a weekly outlook. So for my YouTube viewers, if you like what we do, please share it to other traders and help them access it so they can learn something new or, I don't know, find it interesting. They might want to learn this method. Let's go. So we're in the trading room right now for outside viewers who don't know that. After I close the recording, we stay in the trading room to trade. There's a trade we took this morning. That's why I'm mentioning trading room. I'll show you as we go along. So dollar index. Dollar index is coming down. Basically, I expect more downside in it because we broke the top and it's kind of pulling back really strong. So there's a flag forming here. And I suppose that if it makes a flag, we're going to drop. Now, is there a chance that this could still go up more? Yeah, there's always that chance. You could be making a channel here, which means for a while you could do this. But if they continue to do that, eventually it drops. Right now, do we have a buy setup? When you have the question, and I think for viewers who would be seeing my video for the very first time, you may just immediately have a question. What do you mean it could go up some more, right? Or why is it a seller or buy? And wave analysis is a little different from is it just a seller or buy? What we do in wave analysis is we analyze what the chart can do at a possible time, what patterns we see, what patterns it can make, which one are the highest probable trade coming through, and then how do we take advantage if it does A or if it does B. So if we think that it's going to drop, what would be the sell setup and what would be the strategy of trading it? If we think it's going to go up, or it could either go up or down, depending on what possible patterns that can be made, what would be the strategy in any of those cases? And that is the difference when you do forecasting like this, when you understand what it could do. So if you're looking at the bigger picture, we're in the correction. We haven't broken the tops or bottoms of any one. And that is very important, knowing when you're breaking tops or bottoms, the complete patterns. So you could understand where you are in any specific time or place in any pattern. So right now, there's a good chance that this could come back to the low. Or we could continue to do this for a while and then come back to the low. There is a chance we could even break that up and then come back to the low. But you notice there's one common thing in all of that, coming back to the low. So all we have to decide, is this up move finished or do we have more in it? And based on what I see, it looks like it's finished because we're making assumption that this is a running flat, which we assumed last week and it worked out that way well. We broke the top, that's a reversal point. So if that confirms what we think it's going to do, we get a flag or a flat here, we will sell. Now, there's a difference between a flag and a flat. We're not going to discuss that in this webinar, but basically that would be the sell setup. What if we are wrong about it? And this is where traders get freaked out, especially trolls, but just they have genuine question. Hey, you said it's going to go down. Look, it's going up. You're wrong. I'm like, okay. I'm wrong, so what? New thing in life? I'm the first person ever been wrong in anything. And if you know how many things I'm wrong about, you'll be surprised. It's not the point of being right or wrong. Because if I'm wrong, I wouldn't be in the trade. It will make a pattern here on a lower degree, and we will look for a sell setup. And if this goes up, we will not be in the sell. Good. You can go to sleep well. You're not losing money. You don't have to get every single move in the chart. You don't have to win every single trade. That's not about trading. If you think that's your point, then you have nothing doing in trading. You should stop trading if you think that is how it's going to work. We reanalyze the chart. We relook at the patterns. We decide, okay, if it's not dropping as we expected it, which we think that this wave is completed and it's going to go down and it's not going, then what is it doing? Is it making a deeper correction to go? It's not a flag, maybe it's a flat to go down. Or is it changing direction to the upside? And there are specific things we will see in the chart that will tell us, oh yes, be careful. Well, now we can probably go up, which means specific things means a different pattern in play. Like I said, it's not the fact that this thing is completed here. The only completion is when you get a flat on a 4 hour and it's dropping, then we'll assume that it's completed and we're going down. Now, that's a lot of information if you're watching my video for the first time. But the reason I'm loading that information onto you so that you can understand what wave analysis is about and the very basics. In the next 3 hours, or not 3, maybe in the next 6 hours, by the end of today, we may be buying this if we see this set up for a buy. Now, you will not get that information. And by Thursday, you'll be wondering, hey, look, it broke the top and you said it's going to go down. But we have already taken 3 or 4 trades to the top there in buys that you would not be in because you don't have the daily webinars. We do this daily and sometimes 5 times a day. This is the second time for today we're doing it. We were in the trading room earlier. We took a trade already. I'll show you that trade. And this is the second time we're in the trading room. We do this 5, 6 times a day. So that's how often we update our charts that you will not have access to if you're not in my group. And we do this every single day. So don't get all worked up. I'm giving you a weekly analysis as best as I can. So what we're looking for is more downside. If that changes, we will change. But right now, this looks like a correction that will fall. There's no change. At least as of now, there is no buy setup. So let's go. Silver. This is the trade we just took. We're tagged in the trade. We took a sell here, and there's a reason why we took a seller because we're expecting this pattern to go down. So go back and look at my last week webinar. When I told you my last week webinar, I mean when we were going up, and I said, be careful, we will come. And we might just stop short of this and go down. We would look for a sell setup. As a matter of fact, we were hoping this would break and fall and we will get the sell setup there. But it still will go down because this is a corrective structure. So the sell setup didn't come. The news was there. They actually went up, make another flag, went up, broke the top, dropped. Some of us got that sell. Those who were keen in it, we didn't get that. You get this. We got a few sells in here. And then we're looking for this sell to come here. When we break this low, we'll either look for a reversal or a continuation with a flag. Pretty simple. It's not difficult if you know what you're doing. Because I mentioned it once. I said this thing is pretty simple. And then one guy said, you keep saying it's pretty simple, but then sometimes you say it's difficult. No, it's not difficult. You have to just learn it. You just can't watch it and imagine it and see it immediately. You have to learn it. And if you learn it, it becomes pretty simple for you. It is not difficult. It's doable. Ask my traders, they will tell you. You know who else can tell you? Ask the people who are trolling me. One of them said, nobody criticizing him because they're afraid he'll throw them out of the group. He actually meant what he said, but he said it incorrectly. I don't just throw people out for criticizing me. That's not what we do in here. But the fact that he said they're afraid to leave the group, even if they don't like what I'm doing, is telling, right? It's telling a lot. They might not like me personally, but they like the work. So they don't want to leave the group, and he is not leaving my group as well. The person who told you that is not leaving the group as well. He's still here listening to me, and because he has value to what he's listening to. He doesn't like me personally, but he knows that what I'm giving him is of value. Bigger value than his hate for me. His hatred for me is so strong, but the value he's getting in this room is so great that he cannot leave. So every time he tells you something crazy, the first thing you should ask him, why aren't you still there? Why are you still there? This is not a battered wife situation where you can't leave. You can leave. Everybody's free to leave, right? I'm not holding back anybody, but they will not leave because of the value. He will tell you to leave, but he is not leaving. The value of the work is important because what we do has value. So you know that. Let's go. This is the trade we took. We'll manage this trade. We're expecting it to come here, and then we'll see what happens. There is no change in the pattern as yet. We're expecting at some point it might start making a correction, a flag or so for downside. It could probably drop a little more, then make a flag for downside. We'll see what it does. If it makes a flag, we'll get a second trade. What are the chances that this goes up back? It's still possible. It's slim, but it's still possible. Then we will manage the trade. We actually have methods of managing trade for exit strategy, which means if it doesn't go our way, we minimize the loss by exiting the trade. But we have to see specific patterns that are telling us, okay, now this is going to go up more. And in that case, we'll exit this trade. That's not something we're going to elaborate on in this webinar, but just so you know. But sometimes they don't go our way, and we look at, most times we get out for break even or very, very small loss. Go. Same thing here. Likely downside. Possible that they could do more of this correction here. They can go one more up. That's possible. Can they go one more up after that, one more up after that, and then drop? That is also possible. So if this is going to go up, there'll be a buy setup from this level that we're waiting for. if it's going to go, there's a sell setup for this level we're waiting for. We might get the sell earlier if this drops here. Make a flag, then that sell becomes an earlier one rather than the entry order from this point. So we're waiting to see, let this confirm which direction it's going. I still think, just like the silver, this whole thing is a big correction. We'll probably go down. The downside is highly probable. If you look at the higher time frame, the downside based on this pattern is pretty high, which means we can come back and retest this low. So on the 1 hour, if you get any breakout flag from this level here, make flag, go sell it. It breaks through, you should have an entry order here. That's how we are going to trade it, and then we'll manage to trade from that point. Euro broke out of this. We're anticipating that this could become at some point the running flat. So there might be one more push here, or it could be this is all, and then we go down from here. We'll have to see which one of the setups we get first. Running flat, one more down. What if it is not a running flat? And we're expecting this. Let's say it's going to turn at some point, or this is going to continue to go up. Let's assume for a second that it's not a running flat. They're going to come here. And what would we look for? We look for a flag. If we get a flag, we'll buy. So as of this morning, it's looking like a flag, but we're assuming that this flag might just go one more up, which means still the running flat. We have to be aware that even if they make a spike like that, they can come down because the running flat is not negated as yet. But if we're wrong about it, then it's going to totally go up, then great. We're in the trade. That's the point. You're in the trade. Is it a sell setup? No, we don't have a sell setup as yet. What if this is all for the running flat? Let's just make an assumption that that is all for the running flat and it's coming down. Well, you still don't have a sell setup. Even if you assume that, or you're pretty much sure about that, you still don't have a sell setup, which means you cannot sell it as yet. When we do, if and when we do get the sell setup, we will take off the entry order for the buy and go for the sell. So as of now, it is still more of a flag looking pattern here for upside. We'll see if that plays out. If they drop lower, let's assume this is a smaller correction. We drop lower here, make a flag here, then we will go for the sell. We don't have that as yet. Pound. We're looking for a small buy and a sell. The pound could actually start the sell right now because this could be the flag and we could drop through the bottom. There is still a possibility that this is a small one. They make one more up and then they do that. So we didn't put an entry order to buy the pound this morning because we saw that pattern, but I'm showing you the top that that possibility exists. Right? There's a possibility that this could make a running flag, go there and then come back. But we don't have an entry order in because it's not a very high probable trade. It's not going to give you good risk to reward. We're just showing you the possibility of that trade. What I would like to see in the pound most likely is a drop here, a flag, and then we will sell. Get a flag there, and then we will sell that to the downside. It's going to probably make a bigger running flat because this one is really sharp. So there's a chance that even if we come back to this low, we'll have to watch it for the exit strategy. Up back there again, then a new low. Something like this. That possibility exists, right? So during the week, that is how something kind of a pattern that might form here. Aussie, we're looking for a buy setup. As of now, that is a buy setup. If it goes lower, we'll consider whether it can make more drops within this down move, but this down move could be over here, and that means we could be going up, right? This at some point goes back up. So we'll see. We're looking for it to start from this point. If it doesn't go from here, we don't have any sell setup. It's going down, but you don't have any sell setup. New Zealand, same thing. We don't have a buy or a sell setup in New Zealand, and we could come back and retest this low. We already broke the low, right? So we bought this trades up last week. We're looking for this down, and then this could actually still test the low if they come back here. But if they consolidate to the top where we're buying, this would be the low. I think they might retest the low because it only tagged it slightly, and normally they will break the low a little before they go back up. So we're in this big sideways move here. A big sideways move, and the question is whether this has a lot more downside before it goes back up, or whether they can go back up from here and then come down. Make a bigger flat here. That's the only question right now. So we're looking for a turning point. If we get a flag here, we'll go for the buy, which means if this makes a flag here, we're going for the buy. If it drops lower, we'll have to wait until we get a flag to sell. And better yet, if you have a flag under the low before you sell. Swiss, looking for a sell setup, at least a short-term sell setup here with this, because it should come back here and then drop. That would be the sell. This would be a flat. What if they actually go up? Well, you'll have to wait for them to break this top, make a flag, and then we'll look for the buy. We don't have a buy setup as yet. We're looking for a sell. CAD. We had a contracting flat. So CAD last week, we were expecting, if you remember, we were saying this is going to be a flat, come break this low, and then go back up. Well, it didn't break the low. It go back up before. That's a contracting flat. And broke this top. Now it can either reverse, come back to the low. We can either retest this low here. That's one option. The second option is that they make another flat here and just continue to go. I'm more inclined to, or we could be there, a bigger running flat. Or this could become, drop to this level, make a bigger running flat and go. Instead of a contracting flat, we make a running flat here and then go. So we're looking for that sell setup, either for a running flat or for a deeper downside. As of now, it's a sell setup. It might take a few hours more to consolidate, and then we'll go with the sell. What are the chances this could be taking off to the upside? It's slim, but it's possible. We'll relook at the pattern to see what we have, but we'll have to get a flag here first before you buy. I'd see that flag for the sell. You get a flag, you buy, it will work. So no flag, no buys yet. We're not buying that. US yen. Very likely it might break this slightly, but we're expecting downside. We're looking for a sell setup here because this is broken the structure already and it's coming down. So last week, if you were following, remember I said this would likely break the top. This is the B wave part of it. This is the impulse. This is the impulse. We go back up. So there's a trade here this week. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but that's a very nice trade that we will definitely get this week, right? Because it's the higher probabilities to the downside. Right now, there's a buy setup, a short-term buy setup, which means I think they can break this top, but then we're expecting a downside. I'm not buying it. The risk is you put an entry there, they tag you and they drop and you wouldn't get a chance to exit. You take a loss and then you look for the sell. Euro yen. So I'm going to go through all the yen pairs very fast because I've been doing this quite a lot and I've encouraged you guys to pay very much attention to it. So not a lot of time to spend on them. Last week, I told you they were all making flats and they did exactly that. Most of them made running flats, which means they broke the low and now they're going back up. So I'm expecting them to make a running flat here. I'm expecting them to make a running flat here. I'm expecting them to make a running flat here. I'm expecting it to make a running flat here. And I'm expecting this to make another running flat. And I'm expecting this to make a regular flat. That's all. Can you trade it? Do you know how to trade it? Well, if you can trade. If you have a strategy that will allow you to take trades to the upside and then to the downside, that is amazing. The one I think you should focus on is most likely this one, because this one is classical. It's classic in its form, it's classical in the patterns, it's working amazing. And there are many reasons why you should. We are already in the buy, some of us are still in this buy. I am personally still in this buy here. And there's no, no exit as yet until we get there. It's still going up. We don't have a sell setup as yet on it. So why this one is important? Because of where you are on the daily and the weekly chart. Let's go with the weekly chart so you can see. I've shown you these coming moves since about a couple months, and that is the good thing, is that we can see it months before it happened because we understand how these patterns do develop. So chances are we made 1, we made 2, we're making 3, we'll probably come back here for 4, maybe make 5 or totally drop. That is the way this pattern should develop. Can this piece work its way up some more and then come? Absolutely. But every time we get sell setups, we should take it. Because we would assume that they're going to drop now and they're not going up more. So what you want for a sell setup is on a daily, you want an impulse and a flat. You got an impulse, we're making a flat, that's a sell setup. Now we're buying it because we're buying the smaller moves inside. We don't trade the daily chart. The 4 hour, that's the impulse. Some of us sold that impulse. Now we're looking for a flat here. We bought this up, we sold this down, now we're buying this up and we will be selling it down. So that's a flat. We're assuming that when we break that top, somewhere there, we start another impulse to the downside. And that could be a start of the weekly downside, or that would be a flat for more upside. Right? It might just stop short here, become a flat, and one more impulse up. We will also buy that if that happens. So first we want this to finish, and then we're looking for the sell. 1 hour. I don't think there will be much of a trade to the upside for you in terms of risk to reward. Let it finish, and then you look for the sell. EuroCAD. We're finally going down. We made 1, we made 2, we made 3, and this is going down. So we're expecting this to break the low again once more. And then from there, we'll see what happens. So right now, it looks good for the downside. You might get a flag here. It might probably make a flag or something like this here. And then drop. That'd be a good sell setup if that happens. Euros could also be a sell. We broke the top finally. We could make an assumption that that pattern is completed. That this one here is completed. 1, 2, 3. We've got the sharp wave we were looking for the upside. The only question, is it going to make one more up, or is it going to go down from that point? That's the only question you have. So you have to look into the last wave and see, well, is it over? I don't know that for sure. Now we watch and see what this does. If this comes back here to the top and then, do something like this, we'll get a flat here for one more up. That would be a buy setup. If they make a flag here, we're definitely selling. So let me erase that. If this makes a flag here, we're absolutely selling. And we're selling for a much bigger trade to the downside. So the risk to reward in the sell would be amazing. Right now, you don't have anything. It looks like it's making a flag here, start of a possible flag. So we can make an assumption that if they consolidate there, we will sell. A sell entry in the low here is not a bad idea. See? Euro New Zealand, big picture also looking for a reversal. We didn't break that top. So that could be an issue. Normally, you would want it to break this top and then come back. But we could also be consolidating here for a longer while. You could look at this like this, expanding flat, go up. We look for buy setups if we get it. If we get a flag or if we get a breakout this top. Can they consolidate much more? Yeah, that's possible. You can see this, do this, can make a bigger flat here and then go. Because in the previous impulse up, that's exactly what happened. They made a very big correction in the middle, and it's a three-wave structure. So right now, no buy setups, no sell setups. It could most likely be a buy if we get a flag here or if we break that up, depending on what strategy you want to use. Euro Swiss. Okay, take this out. It didn't go anywhere. That was a buy. So that's a break even. It could probably still go one more down. We're expecting this thing to totally go up, right? The question if that is the low. So you either look at this as a big flat forming here, or you can look at this as a separate, this is a correction. We're making another correction here. And if it goes up, you want the trade, put an entry for a buy. This was the sell, put an entry for a buy here. Pretty similar, right? See, correction, drop. If this is going to take off to the upside, you want the trade. What are the chances they make a new low? Yeah, it's possible. You can watch this kind of make that as a small flag and drop and drop and drop, break the low, then reverse. No problem. I'm not keen in that sell. We were taking the sell from the top coming down, but we're not selling in the bottom of the structure. You're only looking for buys when you're at the bottom of that structure, right? This is the correction we're looking at. Can it drop a few drops more? Maybe you can get a few small impulse dropping, like one like this, make another flag, one like this, make another flag. If we see this, I'm buying because I'm still buying. Every time they come back to the low of this structure, making a new low, you look for buy setups. We did that the last time when this was going up. So on the 1 hour, look for buy setups. If it goes lower, not my problem. And you shouldn't be worried about it either. Euro pound. Okay, so we're getting a big flat. It should break the low, and then we look for the upside. So we're in a big, big, big corrective structure, really big, right? They're making some weird flats in it. You can actually, I'll put a line like this so you can see. And we have the sharp impulse up here. So this is probably going to drop a little more here. But then we expect that to happen. So there is a sell setup if you're interested in, very small. Don't think it's not risk to reward rise, is not worth it. probably let it go. That was the sell last week, this one here. Right, that was a sell because we were at the top there in this pattern. And if you get there, you sell. Come to the low. If it makes another flag, it might be worth taking on a 1 hour lower time frame for one more drop and then the upside. So this might be the only trade you get this week. Maybe today, take the trade, see if it drops. If it turns to the upside, we start buying. Pound New Zealand. Big picture, you're still going sideways. I showed you this already. And what are we going to do in this piece? It's going up. So we'll see. We can look at it two ways. Either we're making some weird expanding flat here. They'll come back here and then go back up more. See, like this expanding flat there. See this 1, 2, 3. This one is a simple one in there. This could be a complex one in here. So either we're making that or this is all the correction and we're trying to break the top. If we break the top, it will be a sell. If they come back here and then go up, we will try to sell it. We'll try to buy it. So let's see in the 1 hour what we have. Nothing. Not a sell, not a buy setup. We don't have anything. It's not even no flag or anything that you can buy it though. So what we can do is wait to see whether this drops here. And if it drops there, we can assume that this is a flag for one more up. And then we get the drop. So this might not be a trade, but if you see that this could be a trade and this could be a trade. Right? I don't think it's still is a good idea right now. Vamos. Very similar structure, but we broke the top. Okay. So I make an assumption that this is finished as a contracting flat, not a contract, regular flat. We broke the top. We'll look for reversals. If it starts to reverse back to the low, that's a good trade because you can see this. They went up, came down. This is a correction. It could drop one more. Go to the 1 hour. We have some internal divergence there, which means if this starts to fall, we want the trade. Right now, it doesn't look like it's going to fall. Right? It looks like more they're trying to go up. So they could do this and go back up one more. And by drop, I mean you'll be looking for an impulse, a flag, and then sell. Right, if we get that. We don't have that as yet. Okay. Pretty similar. I think we're making a big correction here, more of a bigger correction. So there's a chance that this, can we look at this as a flat there? Yeah, you could make an argument for that. 1, 2, 3, because it didn't break the low, but it could be a contracting flat. In that case, what is the bigger picture? More upside? Let's buy it. Let's put an end shorter for a buy. Like that. Go back to the 1 hour. That's a big one for the end shorter. So you probably look for a flag here and then buy the flag. That is too big. It's a 4 hour one. So what we can do is we can wait to see if you get flagged here and start buying. This could be the start of the upside. Pound Swiss, we were also looking for a buy setup. Take this off. That's a lot of explanation why that is there. Yes, if we get a flag here, we're looking for a buy setup. How high this can go? Well, we broke the low and we're going up, so it could go pretty high. We broke the low here. We have divergence and we're turning to the upside. So the buy is a good idea and that could go pretty much. So an entry order there for a buy is not a bad idea. Now, can it come a little deeper before it goes? Yes. No, that's a long story. So we're not going to go into much of that. There's a possible running flat there. It will just take too much time to explain. Aussie CAD. Okay, so we've got a deeper one there, but it's a running flat and we're coming down. So probably from here, if we get a sell set up, would be a good idea to break this low. And then we'll have this pattern completed. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Come back here, break the low, and then from that point, we'll see if we have divergence still. We probably still will have divergence. And we might look for buy setups. So the most immediate trade today is probably a sell to break these lows. Aussie New Zealand, stay out of it. Aussie Swiss. Okay, so where we are in the Aussie Swiss structure. It did drop lower, so we can put this here now. As expected, you see, we look at that as a flat and we expect it to drop. It dropped much lower than expected. Probably is here. I don't think this is the whole flat. Right? The question is whether all of that is just a flat. Right? So like 1, 2, 3. It's a little far stretch. I think we can have more than that in it. So I'm going to put it back on the 1 hour, take this out, and wait for a setup here. Looks more like a buy setup. With a deep pullback in here. If they get another deep pullback, we'll reconsider whether we want to take the buy or wait for it. So expect this to be just a shallow pullback here, maybe consolidate here some more. And then upside. New Zealand, Swiss, same here. We're at the bottom of the structure. We're looking for a buy setup. They can make one more low. So you want to look at the Euro Swiss, Pound Swiss, Aussie Swiss, New Zealand Swiss. They're in big corrections that are showing upside. But can it go a little more short? Take that off. That's the low being broken. It did break. If we get a flag here, you look for two things now. Can it drop one more like this and then go back up? That'll be good. Because if we get a flag here, we'll start buying. If we get a flag here, we'll start buying. So instead of a drop, if this becomes a flag, we don't know that is for yet as yet. So if this turns out to be more of a correction here, we look for a buy. New Zealand CAD. Okay, we're in some kind of a correction here and it looks more downside. This looks at least one more impulse now. And then we'll see where it goes from there, right? There's a sell setup there. You can actually put an entry order to sell this. Let's go. Chinese yuan. It's an up move. We're expecting a big move to the upside, but it's pulling back. So the question is, are we making a bigger correction here? Right? Could this be some kind of a bigger corrective structure? That is possible. You can look at this as a contracting flat. As a 1, 2, 3. And if you get a flag here, we sell. Right? We look for that, at least back to this level. Right? And then we'll see if they go up. If they drop, we'll go back with this original one that we had. Right? So we have it like this now. But this doesn't look like the start of the downside. It looks like still a running flat in play. CAD Swiss. Okay, this is the only one that is not going up, but downside. So now we've got 1, 2, 3. We have got 1, 2. We needed 3 up and then the downside. So this should go up. Yeah, it's not there as yet, but if we get a consolidation here, we can buy the break of the top. Silver will probably come back down some more. Most likely, not sorry, silver, copper will probably come down here some more, maybe even make a new low. And it could probably go down quite a lot. So you might want to focus on finding an entry point or getting a sell setup on it. Whatever your strategy is, right? I think if we wait for an impulse and a flag, that would be a good idea. US oil. Most likely we're going to have a running flat here, right? See, just a bigger one. This was a running flat because we had that sharp move. So we know this was going to make a running flat. We have this sharp move, just a bigger running flat. Wait for it to pull back by maybe a running flat like this, and then go. Right, so we don't have a buy or a sell setup there as yet. Maybe in a lower time frame, we'll find a sell setup if it starts to go down. We don't have any right now. We'll get a sell setup, that'll be a good trade to downside and then back up. UK oil, same thing, natural gas. I think we came from the low. You can see this. It made a flat, it broke the top. So the question is it starting the downside from here, right? If we get a flag here, we sell. Or is it just making a bigger consolidation, which means they come here and go back up? Well, the sell will be at break even by then. So we will look for a flag, wait for a break of this low, and then see if from there it goes up or it goes down. But we will have enough profit to put it at break even and then see which way it goes. Let's go. US 30. More upside. DAX, more upside. The bigger picture in DAX is a big consolidation, so you probably want to stay away from it until that, this whole piece makes sense. A sharp move up will start making some sense there. S&P 500, more upside. If we make a flag here, we can go for more upside. And let's see. This will probably come back down for us. I'll be careful of trying to buy it. That was a buy last week, but it's likely going to come back down for a flat. So take this off. There's a good chance you're going to come back here, make a flat, and then go back up. Do we have a sell set up there? Not as yet, but if we get it, we'll take the trade. Take this trade to the downside. It's not confirming anything as yet, but I think we can make a flat because the corrections are in the impulse. Right, a sharp impulse, some corrective move, and then we'll see what happens. AU 200. So we broke the top, we came down, we're going back up. Maybe break the top again. We're not interested in the buy, but let it break the top again, and then we look for the sell. Nifty going sideways, maybe a little more down and then up. So there's a good chance this is going to drop here and then go back up. That might be the end of this pattern. 1 second, guys. So I'm going to mute myself for a second. Yep, sorry about that. Let's go. So we're expecting this to come here and then we'll see if it goes up. That would be the pattern. Tesla, still in correction, and there's a good chance that this one will work its way up some more here and then we'll come down. So you can look for buy setups. Amazon, I think the pattern is completed already. I told you that last week and the week before that this might be the end of the running flat. It's a good running flat. It didn't go as much as we expected, but it worked perfect. So this pattern played out almost in every single way, and now the impulse has started. This was a buy setup. You're getting your second buy setup there. We will leave all the buy setups for you. Now, this was one we said you could have taken it, but we didn't call it as a buy for the upside totally because it could have been a buy for a flat and downside. Now it's confirming the upside. Great. Keep taking all the buys you can get. This, yeah, we're expecting that this could be a running flat here. If you get a flag here for the upside, you can take the trade if you do trade this. Probably even stay away from it. Reliance. We broke the low. We're pulling back. So I still think we'll go some more. We broke many lows here and pull back. So probably give us this and we'll look for that trade down. And PayPal. By the way, the bigger picture in this is downside, right? See that? I think you can see it. PayPal, it's going up and it could go up some more within this range. They can go up some more, but downside. So whether or not we break that top, we're expecting this downside before we go. Bitcoin, let's see what Bitcoin is doing. So we're consolidating, and if we're consolidating in that range, two things can happen right now. It can come back here and come back one more to this level and then go back up. That will be a really big flat like this. You're going to have 1, 2, 3. So you have an impulse, a correction, an impulse, a correction, another impulse. Then you get one up and then you down, right? So it looks like we're making another big flat here and it's not over. The reason it's not over because it's not that sharp and this one has a flat in the middle of this. So yeah, I can see this making a bigger, more complex flat pattern here. Like one more down there, look for this and then look for that one up before you come down. So it's very complex. You're in a big corrective structure and it's still forming. XRP, pretty much the same thing. This could also go back up, but looks like this might just give you one more low before they go. What if they don't give the low? What would you do? Wait for a flag outside of the structure to buy or buy above the last impulse. Those are the two things you can do if you want to get in earlier in the trade. If not, just wait. I wouldn't be surprised if this is coming, break the low, and then go back up. Probably looking for more sells here. There should be more sells in this piece. Dropping. Right, maybe one more drop, and then we go up. Same here, we're breaking out of that structure. So the question is whether that structure is complete, because if that is complete, this is going to drop. Put an entry order for a sell, you'll know. Put an entry order there for a sell. Same here. This looks like it has to go up one more, because if we're assuming that this here is a running flat, if we're assuming that is a running flat, then this would likely go back up one more. It might be going very slow, but eventually could take off. So I'll be careful of trying to sell this here. Now, what if that is not the running flat? Then we'll have to assume that the running flat is somewhere here, right? And this is going down. So just pull a line like this and put an entry order to sell it at this level. Dash, more upside. They all have these patterns that could either go upside or a little more downside, but this is upside. Now they can all go down a little more, which means all of them that has this pattern has the possibility of one more down and then the upside. So we can look for sell setups, right? This is a sell. This one is a confirmed sell here. I don't think you have any argument over that. Look for the sell. This one could go up more. Could expect either this for a sell and then probably go back up, because this piece is going to do that. So keep an eye on it. It looks like we can get a sell here today if you trade this. GRT. Yep, maybe a little more up. We'll break this top. Go break that up, and then we can look for the downside of this whole structure, right? LTC. Upside, but same thing. I don't think this is over. This waves are sharp. So this come here, probably come back here, go there, and that would be the flat. ADA. Okay, we're expecting this to go up one more, but if not, we could be in the sell. I think it's going to go up one more, likely, so we can look for the buy. Actually, put a buy entry here is not a bad idea. You just have to manage it properly. That itself is a good idea for the buy. And let's go. So I think that was the last one. Yep. All the YouTube traders, if you like it, this video was quick because all the yen pairs are very similar. There was no sense elaborating on all of them. I did it on one, and that was more than enough, right? By now you have an idea what to do. So if you like the video, please share it, help someone else see it. And if you like it, they'll probably like it too. And they might learn something. So trade with care. See all of you next week. For the YouTube players, for my subscription team, the installment team, you're going to get the daily webinar for the rest of the week. And for my traders, let's get to the trading room right now. Thank you very much. Bye.